Zone 5 definitely isn't the best zone for growing sweet potatoes, but we grow them anyway. And though our tuber harvests are sometimes fairly modest, we also harvest the greens. And sweet potatoes produce a huge amount of greens all through the summer and into the fall. But now, with our first frost quickly approaching, it's time to harvest the last of the greens and the tubers. Let's head out front to harvest sweet potatoes. Let's start by harvesting the last of the sweet potato leaves. We enjoy the leaves in stir fries and have been harvesting them as needed for meals through the summer. This is a pretty big harvest, but like spinach, they cook down a lot. And we'll eat all of them over the next week rather than preserve them. We grew all of our sweet potatoes in the front yard garden this year because it gets much more direct sunlight than the backyard. This little bed is 3 feet in diameter, and we planted it in late May with sweet potato slips from 2 organic purple sweet potatoes that my wife bought at Whole Foods. In late winter, she half-submerged the sweet potatoes in jars of water in a south-facing window. The potatoes grew roots under the water and slips above. Slips, by the way, are just little sweet potato vines. We changed out the water every few days, and in late May, we removed several of the slips and planted them in this bed. By late June, the bed looked like this. And by late summer, the vines would have taken over half the yard if we hadn't been harvesting some of the leaves. Now that the leaves are gone, I'll start pulling up the vines. That's a pleasant surprise. These tubers are a pretty good size. These are a bit bigger. Looking good. Very nice. There's a big one. This is looking like it'll be a pretty good harvest. They seem to grow long instead of fat. I wonder if this is just how they grow or if they were crowded in the bed. Now that I pulled up all the vines, I'll dig around the soil with my hands looking for more tubers. I prefer to use my hands instead of a fork when possible to minimize damage to the tubers because damaged potatoes don't store as well. It's really cold out here. My fingers are getting numb. Now we're talking. Okay, now let's get the garden fork and dig deeper. This harvest is much better than I expected. This is the first time we've grown sweet potatoes out front in one of these raised beds, and it's really paying off. Looks like we'll have plenty of sweet potatoes to enjoy this fall and winter. One of my favorite Thanksgiving treats is candied sweet potatoes. I also usually make a few sweet potato pies and mashed sweet potatoes. Okay, I think that's the last of the sweet potatoes in this bed. I also planted sweet potato slips in a 10-gallon Smart Pot. So let's see what we get from the Smart Pot. These are regular orange sweet potatoes. We grew them the same way as the purple ones. Nice size on that one. Not too shabby. Very nice. Okay, pretty good yield of orange sweet potatoes too. I think they're quite a bit bigger than what we've grown in the past. Not as big as they grow down south, but pretty good for Zone 5. I'm happy with it. All right, let's get these sweet potatoes and leaves out back and wrap up today's video. And here's a look at our final harvest. I was curious to see how much of a sweet potato harvest we got, so I weighed them. This is 25 pounds of sweet potatoes. And though I didn't weigh the greens, we have several pounds of greens, not to mention all the greens we harvested all summer long. And all this came from just 3 organic sweet potatoes my wife bought from the store. The next step for our sweet potatoes is to cure them. Curing them allows them to store longer and makes them sweeter. To do this, they need temperatures from 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit for about a week or so. Now, temperatures like that are hard to come by around here at this time of the year, but the heat is on in the house now, and what we'll do is we'll store them up against a baseboard heater. But because we don't have ideal conditions for curing our sweet potatoes, we'll probably eat these within the next few months to make sure they don't go to waste. I hope you enjoyed joining me today for our sweet potato harvest. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe for more videos on how to grow a lot of food on a little land without spending much or working harder than you have to.